Hello there, guys. Welcome back to the Stamford Voice for your Chelsea versus Ajax match review. In a game where penalties ruled, Chelsea reigned the goals and let the kids do the kickabout. Let us break this game down. And by the way, this is a second Champions League win for Chelsea, especially after losing to Bayern Munich. The question is, with this particular form, are we gonna make it to the top eight to avoid the knockout stage? Or are we just gonna miss out? I don't know. I think for us to make to the top eight, we need to beat Barcelona. Basically, we need to win all our games. Anyway, let's focus on today because today was a comfortable 5-1 win for Chelsea, especially, of course, with Bayern Munich, not Bayern Munich, but Ajax going down to 10 men early on and Chelsea scoring almost immediately. Now, let's talk of the lineup. The lineup was quite comfortable because the defense was made up of mostly our first 11. The midfield was made up of mostly again our first 11, but now the attack was more like a team B attack because we had McGew up top who actually got his goal. We had Jamie Gittens who I think had fantastic outing. On the right side, we had Estevao William, who was amazing, especially in the second half, and got his goal, of course, being the youngest Chelsea player to score for Chelsea in a Champions League, scoring in 18 years, breaking the record that was held by McGew for a few minutes, who had broke the record that was held by El Capitano himself, Reece James. Facundo Bonanote played in the 10, but obviously, as mentioned, in the midfield was quite experienced with Romeo Lavia holding there with Enzo Fernandez and, of course, Moises Caicedo playing in the right back. The centre backs were Tosin Adarabioyo with Wesley Fofana. And I must say, I mean, this was a good Chelsea game. And when you look at the decisions that Enzo Maresca had been, when I looked at that lineup, I felt like Enzo Maresca is joking with this Ajax team, and this is Champions League, and anything can happen. But behold, Enzo Maresca is always right. I mean, this guy could tell, and that is why he brought in academy players in the bench because he knew Chelsea would thrash Ajax and that would give a chance for academy boys to come on and do the kickabout as we saw in the second half. And I think it was so beautiful to see the likes of Reggie Walsh coming in. Of course, when the game is dying, it was good to see George come in and get his goal. I mean, overall, this was a fantastic outcome for Chelsea because when you look at the result was beautiful. We boosted our goal difference. We gave the boys a kickabout, the young boys, Leggy Wash, McGew, Estevao. Estevao is a starter, but again, he's still a young boy. Jamie Gittens, and the likes of Tyrek George. I think the outcome for Chelsea in this particular game was amazing. Now, let us talk of Chelsea performances. And I want to start up top with McGew because we have been screaming for an out-and-out striker, especially in the last few games, because Joao Pedro has been struggling. Obviously, Joao Pedro was not in this particular game because he was suspended through a red card that he got in the previous Champions League game. But in the last few Premier League games, we were screaming for an out-and-out striker, and especially having seen what McGew did in the last Premier League game, everybody was shouting for McGew to start, and he actually started, and he got his goal. And over and beyond getting his goal, we saw the attributes of a striker in him, the runs he was making, the intensity in terms of pressing, and I think McGew is going to be a very, very, very good striker for Chelsea. Once he gets more and more games, he will grow more and more in confidence, and that is a very important aspect for a striker, especially when it's coming out in the news that McGew pulled back Enzo Maresca in training some few days ago and asked him, "Hey, boss, what do I need to do to start playing games?" So when you see that kind of a mindset, obviously Enzo Maresca is a very inviting coach. So I am pretty sure he sat down with McGill and told him this and this and these are the things that you need to improve for you to start getting game time. And I'm sure, having seen McGill start playing games, especially ahead of Tyreek George, because in the past few games, Enzo Maresca was preferring Tyreek George to start up top in the number 9 position, even if we know Tyreek George is not a number 9. But Enzo Maresca was preferring to start Tyreek George up top instead of McGill. But now we have seen, him appreciating McGill as an out and out striker much, much more than he was doing in the previous games. So basically, what Enzo Maresca explained to McGill, the things, the details that he needs to improve for him to start getting game time, I think McGill has taken that up his shoulder in his game, and that is why we are seeing McGill getting more and more and more game time. And I think we are going to see this kind of rotation against. I think our next Champions League game is Karabag. If I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, tell me down in the comments section. I think we are going to see this kind of rotation when we come against. Karabakh and maybe Paphos, then maybe we'll have a stronger 11 against Barcelona, which is a game that we seriously need to consider winning if at all we will stand any chance of making top 8, so that we can avoid that knockout game, because a knockout game is a knockout game and anything can happen, and Chelsea getting knocked out before the round of 16 would be a failure for me, especially after winning the Club World Cup. So I think we need to do everything possible to give ourselves a chance, which I think even if we win the last games, I think it's still a very slim chance to get in that top 8, especially when you look at the teams above us have either won all their games or drawn one and won two. So that means having lost one, so you need some of those teams to lose a game here and there, and for you to win all your games. So for us to stand a chance of making the top 8 in the Champions League, we need to win all our games, and that includes beating Barcelona at the bridge. And I believe Chelsea has all it takes to beat Barcelona at the bridge, especially if we play at a period where uh, a few of our players have started coming back. Sadly, I don't think Cole Palmer will be back, but maybe Liam Delap could be back for that Barcelona highline. So basically, I think this is a doable thing for Chelsea. And if we win all our remaining Champions League games, I think we stand a huge chance of making the top 8 and escaping that knockout game, which I do not like knockout games anyway. Jorgensen, I don't think Jorgensen had anything huge to do. He had just a decent game like any other player. In the midfield, Romeo Lavia again, I think he had an okay game. Nothing to break the ceiling and everything. I think Enzo Fernandez was super amazing, especially in that gesture that he did. Obviously, he took his first penalty pretty well, but as the captain, Estevao William wins a penalty, and the captain hands the ball to the 18-year-old. That is what we call leadership. And I think Chelsea is in abundance of leaders, to be honest, because when you look at the El Capitano, Reece James, when you look at Enzo Fernandez, when you look at Tosin Adrabio, even if he was carded earlier on and didn't have a very good game, but the kind of leaders we have, you could see in that gesture, Enzo Fernandez giving the ball to Estevao William to take that penalty. And I think scoring that penalty will give Estevao William a boost in terms of his game, because he's an attacking player. So I thought that was a beautiful gesture from the captain. And I think the youngsters, starting with Estevao William and the rest, I think they will grow with more confidence, especially when they are allowed they are allowed to do to take responsibility, like taking the penalty in a Champions League game. So I think Enzo Fernandez did a beautiful thing. Now I think we need to talk about Enzo Maresca, because when I looked at the lineup that he put out, I thought Enzo Maresca is joking with a Champions League game, and I could hear even the commentator asking, "Is Enzo Maresca thinking that he's playing in the Conference League?" But again, I think Enzo Maresca is a genius in terms of his analysis of the game. He could tell that Chelsea would dismantle Ajax, to be honest, because that is why he brought the young kids on the bench, because he knew once Chelsea put away Ajax with 3, 4, 5 goals, then he would bring on the young kids, to have a kickabout, to have a good experience, to learn, more in the Champions League. And I think that panned out as he had expected. And I think these are the small things that he doesn't get any credit for, but I think he did fantastic. And overall, Chelsea are on course to reclaim our Champions League status. And I think the challenge now is to make sure that we win all our group stage games to give ourselves a chance to sneak it into that top eight bracket, because we need to avoid that knockout game. Otherwise, it was a simple Champions League night under the lights at the bridge. Nothing much to say. Thank you so much for keeping it here. If you have not subscribed, do so. See you in the next one.